start. Thank you very much for coming to USJI seminar. Dr. Takahashi, one of the organizers, asked me to introduce interaction and knowledge in Japanese investigators. So I will go few slides. We have a long history of research of scientific collaboration and cooperation between NIH and the Japanese biomedical research community. And Japanese NIH alumni, more than 3,000, starting from more than 50 years ago. And many Japanese investigators came to NIH as a postdoc, returned to Japan. Many become a leader in the field and now continue the collaboration with NIH representative in Japan. One of the examples is Dr. Takahashi and Dr. Nonaka worked with archaeology when he was the director of NIH. They are all professors in University School. And most NIH are more than 1,200 have some kind of interaction with Japanese science. And not only Japanese science, but NIH also all over the and so that there are NIH Alumni Association important site there. And also Japan NIH Alumni Association first created by Dr. Tasuku Komuro, and now currently Dr. Lakshmi Makani University. JSPS has a US Fellow Alumni Association because people who come to the United States, they have an alumni association. But recently, people from Japan declined. This shows that China is postdoc defect. Largest number, and then India, and then third place Japan, and the next Korea. When I came here in NIH, most majority of eating fellows is from Japan, but things is changing now. So we are very concerned. So the young scientists that's one to go to abroad. Not only here in NIH, but in general, because when they go out PhD, after they receive PhD, they need to get a job and they come to Japan. That is a really bad situation. In addition to number of PhD scientists declining. So that is perhaps a similar situation in the United States. So what I have to introduce Dr. Ochida, President of the USJI and also Vice President of the Waseda University. He will introduce USJI activity.
Good morning. Thank you very much for coming to the seminars on translational research based on molecular craniofacial developmental biology. It's very difficult to pronounce because I'm a lawyer, and so I'm not a medical doctor or dentist. But anyway, as my name is Kazuichi Uchida, the president of USJI, and also professor at Waseda University in Tokyo, Japan. And first, let me introduce USJI, US Japan Research Institute. This is a non-profit research organization here in Washington, D.C. And USJI was established in April 2009 and jointly managed by 9 leading Japanese universities, namely Dosha, Keio, Kyoto, Kyushu, Ritsumeikan, Sophia, Tokyo, Tsukuba, and Waseda universities. The mission of the USJI are to promote policy-related research at our member universities, dispatch the research results to a wider communities through the medium of English, to nurture young researchers related to US-Japan issues, and to formulate a community of researchers and policymakers. We are financially supported by Japanese corporations and individuals, and therefore we encourage communication between academia and business society. The USJI hold a week-long seminar twice a year in March and September in Washington. This week we have 8 different seminars in the downtown of DC. This seminar is organized by Professor Ichiro Takahashi of Kyushu University and Yoshiko Yamada of NIH. And before the introduce Professor Takahashi, I would like to need your permission of being tape recorded, because this tape record will be uploaded to our homepage, and then the public is able to access to the content of today's discussion through internet. May I have your permission? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, then let's have a permission.
President Uchida, thank you very much for inviting me. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for visiting this seminar this morning. My name is Ichiro Takahashi from Kyushu University. So I'd like to introduce the first lecturer, Professor Kazumi Nonaka, who's the professor of the pediatric dentistry and special needs dentistry in Kyushu University. Actually, he was he's the professor of the Kyushu University, but about 20 years ago, as Mr. has introduced, but he and I was working with House Lobby in Alliance. And we have learned a lot of craniofacial developmental biology. But now he's working with the dental pulp stem cell. So today he's going to be talking about those kind of issues. Please start your lecture.
Ichiro, thank you very much for your kind introduction. I'm Kazu from the Faculty of Dental Science, Kyushu University, located in the Kyushu Island, which is the southern part of Japan. And it is almost 16 since I left from NIH, where I spent 3 years as a postdoc. At that time, I really enjoyed very much with my family. And it's because it is big surprise because our situation of the NIH and downtown of Bethesda as well as Rockville is so changed because time passed so fast. How for me, I would like to be a developmental surgeon. And then, how for me, I must be a clinical dentist for the children who have a systematic disease and developmental disease. That's the reason why I belong to pediatric dentistry as well as specialty dentistry at the Kyushu University Hospital. We are a small group, and then we have 4 PhD students. They are very precious. Zarizun, Ichiro, and director, Dr. Michida explained already, and also Yoshi explained. So, one of them from the Dr. Han, she from the Harbin, mainland of China, and also Dr. Tan, she from the Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. And to start my small talk, I would like to express a deep thanks to Yoshi for your kind arrangement and the deep consideration. My title is here. Today talk, firstly, introduction of research interest. It should be from our clinical activities. What is a cell? And thirdly, can cell be neuralized cell? And lastly, I would like to introduce also the mitochondrial function on neuronal differentiation of cell. As you know, dental caries is one of oral infection. Parent does not pay a lot of attention to dental caries. Also, they pay a serious attention to lung disease or colon disease. We have big gap between parents' idea and our idea still. Here is one boy who is 40 years old. He has autism. They have completely different 5 cells. For example, their tasting is so different from you. He likes chocolate very much. A kind of sugar lover he is. And also, his hearing ability is so different from you. Sometimes he puts his finger on his ear hole like this when he had some sound made by contact with the steel. Also, his behavior is completely different because he cannot control his behavior by himself. That is the main reason why general dentists in town send this kind of patient children to us. For them, we perform comprehensive dental care as well as dental cure with help of general anesthesia. Like this. From Monday to Friday, 5 days of a week, we perform this kind of dental care for them. Usually, we can do that. And sometimes we have a patient who is affected with a post-branchial arch anomaly, like a future current syndrome. He cannot open his mouth, so we cannot take care of them, even though he have a dental problem. In this case, also we apply general anesthesia to treat them. What's the shape? Stem cell of human exfoliated deciduous tooth. Children have a 10 milky tooth in upper jaw and then 10 in lower. In total, children have a 20 milky tooth. As shown here, just after exfoliation of the milky tooth, like this, we can recruit some cell, which originally discovered by Dr. Santoshi and Dr. Takayoshi Yamada around 2000. We can easily isolate and then we can get a lot of stem cell. So stem cell can differentiate into main type of cell. Then currently we are interested in the neural cell because we have a lot of patients who have a developmental disorder like autism, ADHD, or learning disability like that. As shown here, Dr. Yamada and Dr. Santoshi together identified that shape is easily isolated from the pulp of tooth, which I showed previously. Shape have multipotential ability, like higher propagation. And also, it has a character of intolerance, although we don't know the detail of mechanism, not yet. Shape can survive likely fibroblast based on the morphological observation at the initiation of culture. Under special culture condition like this, shape can form sphere. In this case, in 48 hours after. the initiation of culture. Sphere formation is one of the character of neural-like cell. As shown here, set also express STRO1, which is mesenchymal stem cell marker. At the same time, set express nesting, which is typical neurostem cell marker, as you know very well, without any induction. Under special cultural condition like this, cell can differentiate into neural-like cell, which express beta children 3, one of neural stem cell marker, neural cell marker, and also which form neuron like neuronal spine, like this, under this special condition, culture. We evaluate, quantify the expression level of beta children 3. Then we compare that between control group and treated group, I mean the induction of differentiation into neural-like cell. The expression level of children 3 is significantly increased in treated group in comparison to that of control group. What doing the shape? That is one question. Then neural-like shape, which can express the receptor of glutamic acid, which express here of post-synaptic region. This receptor, we will call it namely NMDAR1. In higher magnification, brain need a receptor, which means that it looks like glutamagic neuron. Also, these neural-like shape form synapse because by using synaptophysin, it's an antibody to bind synapse. You can see the pointing spot in higher magnification. Until now, These results suggest that we can develop the culture system to induce the neural-like shape until now. Then we will try to understand the mechanism of neural differentiation of shape. In this step, we interested in the function of mitochondria because one of past collaborator, Dr. Kato, he's one of a kind of mitochondria biologist. As you know, mitochondria is involved in ATP production, lipid synthesis, apoptosis, as well as calcium ion buffering. It has been known very well. And recently, mitochondria is involved in cell differentiation. I'm not a chemical biologist, but by using the CJ1, which is a chemical compound structure here. Under the lower mitochondrial activity, JC1 is existing inner and outer mitochondria in cell. It looks like green as a monomer. On the other hand, during higher mitochondrial activity condition, JC1 can be aggregated into mitochondria. And then it looks like red. By using this tool, we compare the mitochondrial activity between control and treated group. Then we found that that mitochondrial activity of neural-like shape is higher than that of control. Rotenol, which is also an inhibitor of mitochondrial function through binding to the part of complex 1 in inner mitochondrial membrane. And the physiological condition, actually, rotenol will inhibit mitochondrial activity like this. One of stem cell marker, tubulin-3, its expression was significantly reduced by this rotenol, like this. More two slides, I guess. Also by rotenone administration, neuronal-like spine structure is inhibited like this. You cannot see any spindle in the treated group. We measured the length of neuronal cell, and then we found that the length of neuronal cells inhibited significantly by rotenone. We do by using the metamorphic, one of the image analyzing software. The last slide. Also, I skipped the result. Already I mentioned, because already I mentioned. These results suggest that mitochondrial activity is partially essential for neuronal differentiation of shape. We would like to develop this work to understand etiology of developmental disorder as well as Down syndrome like this. That is my talk, and in last slide I would like to discuss. I give thanks for your kind presence with your precious time. That's our father, American father, our starting, and Japanese father, big stone in Japanese voices. My family here. My mother have a 4 generation, so shed will contribute to their future program. That is my future distance. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Kazumi. We'd like to have a few questions for this presentation. Do you have any questions?
You are working on patient. So I just want to shed cell patient whether you find any abnormality of differentiation or neural cell. That was your future plan and drug screen. Yes. I consider the iPS cell and shed cell what's the difference. Shed cell is stable. You can pass many times.
Many questions.
Yeah.
First answer for the renewal capacity of shed like iPS cell. My answer, yes, it can survive at least 20 generations, which have a great ability of self-propagation. That is one. First answer. Second question is the difference between the induced shed and original neuron in patient. And actually, we would like to answer the exact. I would like to give you exact answer, but this time, no, I can't, because we cannot get any real neuron from patient. You understand? So, as a mimic situation, we try to induce neural-like cell from shed. Yes, please.
Thank you. So have you looked at the different metabolic pathways that may contribute to the neuronal differentiation, like oxidation versus glycolysis? And also, have you looked at changes in mitochondrial morphology during this differentiation process?
First question regarding for the metabolism pathway, right? I don't know. Still take a time. One of my colleagues, she will give you answer next time. I hope. I leave your question in my note. Thank you very much. And the second question, could you please repeat again?
Changes in morphological structure of mitochondria. The reason I'm asking this is because there are some indications to mitochondria structure and function, fragmentation versus elongation. So theoretically with the GC1 probe, you can see that. So have you noticed any changes?
Under the JC1 experiment, we didn't check the change of morphology. And also location of mitochondria, which is also one of important point, which we have to check. That is my today's answer.
Do you know which type of neuronal cell shed cells really are? For example, do you know what type of neurotransmitter they may be producing?
Thank you very much for your kind question. This type of cell, what neural molecule secrete from this type of neuron? That's your question. Actually, we try to know the serotonin level or histamine level in culture medium with this shape, but the result is not coming. So I didn't give you a exact answer today. A lot of homework I have. That's okay?
You said your target of the shed, your aim of the research will be contribute to ADHD or some autism, right? So if you culture the milk tooth dental pulp cell from a patient of ADHD or some autism patient, is there, if you did it, is there any differences between ADHD or autism and normal patient?
That we would like to know actual difference between healthy children and children who may have some developmental disorder. Once we identify some molecule, we may give him this molecule as a medicine to have some recovery. That is our simple attitude. Yes, please.
The children's patient's picture impressed me very much. So can you figure out when eating the embryo, the children will have this syndrome, or is it kind of mutant of gene?
Could you please repeat again slowly? I'm kind of hearing disability. So could you please?
Yes. I mean, the patient, can you define it will happen when it gives birth? Before it gives birth, can you make sure it will be this kind of patient when it is embryo?
Embryo.
Yes. I mean, this kind of mutant of gene.
You ask me the reason or difference of etiology of the patients who may have some developmental disorder from the standing point of genetics?
Yes, yes.
Mm.
Do you know the reason of the syndrome?
We don't know.
It happened.
I have a friend or pediatrician who is trying to discover some candidate gene related to the autism. But it's a huge.
I think she's asking about the teeth.
Mm.
The whole
The teeth syndrome that you showed in your first slide, not about autism.
No, that in second slide, he's a patient with autism. Okay, but
Yeah.
later on
What caused the
we cannot discover any dental defect. Okay,
Is it happened
structurally.
Is it happened very randomly or
The
from
caries
gene
for
or
these
can?
patients happens because they cannot actually brush properly. The oral health is not maintained properly. That's why they have this severe type of rampant caries.
Arigato. Thank you very much. Kind help. So.
Thank you very much.
Mm.
I think we
Yeah.
should.
Thank you very much. Lay down, please.
And we will have the discussion time later.
Next speaker is Eva Excel. Eva born in Hungary and she received the MD, PhD in Hungary. And she came NIH first MIH mental institute NIH and then as a postdoc and then go back again Hungary and then later return to NIPCR and established adult stem cell section in NIPCR. And she has been working on bone marrow cell biology and today she will give us the most recent one.
Thank you very much, Yoshi, and I really appreciate the invitation. I feel honored to be here and to be able to talk about our work with your group. So I would like to talk about the immunomodulatory functions of bone marrow-derived stroma cells. Most of you know these cells as MSC because that's how they are called in the literature. And it would take several more hours to discuss if it's a correct name or not a correct name. I think that we will just go with the flow and call it MSCs. So this field started with a publication in 2004 by Katarina LeBlanc from the Karolinska Institute, who was she's a transplantation specialist, and she was doing bone marrow transplantation in kids with different hematological diseases. And because a year before that, there was a paper suggesting that bone marrow-derived stroma cells can suppress T-cell proliferation, she requested a permit from the Swedish FDA when she had a patient who was a 10-year-old child and who was dying following a bone marrow transplantation due to graft versus host disease. So she got the permission and she treated the child with bone marrow-derived stroma cells from the mother, and the child miraculously recovered from the GVHD. So she published this paper in Lancet, And she suggested that maybe it would be nice to do some bench work to see what is going on. So this is a very unique field where the research went from bedside to bench. So following this publication, this was when I started my tenure track in the institute. So I had a postdoctoral fellow, Christian Nemeth, and we discussed that it would be very interesting to try to find the mechanism of how this effect might happen. So we used a model of the human sepsis, which is a cecal ligation and puncture in mouse. In effect, it's a very severe peritonitis that results in sepsis, and only 10% of mice survive without any treatment. So we performed this procedure, and then we injected the mice with nothing, with BMSCs, with fibroblasts. We tried different mouse strains, and as you can see, when we injected with fibroblasts, or this is skin, human skin, mouse skin fibroblast, the fibroblast or the no treatment resulted in the known 10% survival of the mouse. However, when BMSC, no matter the source of strain, of mouse strain, was injected intravenously, 50% of the, 40 to 50% of the mice survived. So thinking of the huge number of septic patients who die every year, this is a very significant improvement in survival. So we started to go after what might be the cause of this increased survival. At first we looked at bacterial load, and we found that in the blood the amount of bacteria is significantly decreased after BMSC injection. There was also a decrease in the peritoneal cavity where the actual peritonitis stems from. This was not statistically significant. However, it gave us a hint that somehow the BMSCs are involved in bacterial actions. So we started to look at different organ pathology, which is known in sepsis. So first of all, we know that the organ failure affects almost all organs towards the end, but the kidney, the liver, and the pancreas are the main organs that we looked at. So in the kidney, at first we looked at morphology, and we saw that the structure, the histology of the kidney was much healthier following BMSC injection. But of course it only means something if there is a functional consequence. So we also looked at serum creatinine and blood urea nitrogen, and we showed that the MSCs significantly decrease the increased values, so they are getting it closer to the normal levels. Apoptosis in the spleen is another marker that they use in mouse, and we also saw a significant decrease following BMSC injection. In the liver, you can look at function several ways. On the left side, you see histology. The dark purple is glycogen. So a healthy liver can store glycogen. A sick liver that's disintegrating cannot. So this is the septic liver. And you can see that following BMSC injection, some of the glycogen storing capability returns. Again, we looked at liver enzymes, and we saw that the liver enzymes are also significantly, sorry, the significance is missing, but it is a significant decrease following MSC injection. Similarly, the pancreatic amylase, which gets released when pancreas cells are dying, the circulating amylase levels are also decreased following BMSC injections. So the next question was, how does this happen? We can think that somehow the injected MSCs are interacting with the immune system. So we looked at serum cytokine concentrations. We looked at pro-inflammatory cytokines and anti-inflammatory cytokines at 24 hours following the development of sepsis. We did see that there was a significant decrease in anti-inflammatory cytokines, but we did not see any change in pro-inflammatory cytokines. So then I suggested that maybe, because it's a very severe disease, maybe the changes when we inject the BMSCs happen very quickly. So I asked the fellows to do a time curve on IL-10, which is one of the best-known anti-inflammatory cytokine. So this was the 24-hour values, and then when we looked at earlier time point, the difference was there very significantly at 6 hours and at 12 hours following the sepsis. Ken, what does that face mean? You seem very doubtful.
No. A question occurred to me whether if you just inject IL-10, will that reproduce this?
This is a question that I get a lot. It's a very logical question. There are several problems. One is that the half-life of IL-10 is very short. So the second one and the more important one is that it would be incredibly expensive to reach the serum levels that we reach here by just giving IL-10. Sorry, I won't watch your face anymore. So the next thing that we tried was that we wanted to know what happens to these cells once we inject them. And the injection is a tail vein injection, so the logical place to look for them was the lung, because that would be the first place where they could get trapped in capillaries, since the stem cells are pretty big. And indeed, we did see that the Q dot labeled, so the red dots are BMSCs, and the red dot labeled cells got stuck in the lung, and then we did an immunostaining with a macrophage marker, which was F480 in this case, and we also repeated it with EBO. And sorry?
Yeah, turn on the Wi-Fi.
Oh. Well, if it only comes every 10th slide, then I will be over by the time. I'm sorry. So what we observed was that the BMSCs got surrounded by macrophages in the lung. So this gave us the idea that the macrophages may be reprogrammed. They may be talking to, the MSCs may talk to the macrophages. So what we tried next is that we used clodronate-filled liposomes to deplete the circulating monocytes from the tissues, and then repeated the experiment. So I just want to show you first what happens if you inject clodronate-filled liposomes. The macrophages love to eat the clodronate from the circulation, but it's really not good for them. So the macrophages all get killed, and after this procedure, we repeated our septic studies, and what we saw is that once we depleted the macrophages, the beneficial effects of the BMSCs on survival disappeared. So this seemed to strengthen our hypothesis that indeed there must be a reprogramming of macrophages somehow. So what we think is happening is that the pro-inflammatory M1 macrophages that produce TNF-alpha will turn into an anti-inflammatory IL-10 producing much nicer macrophage. So what happens in the whole body? When in the circulation, the blue cells would be neutrophils, and when there is a bacterial load, this is a macrophage, and this is, the green is the bacteria, and the bacterial toxin is circulating. And because of this, the vessels become very leaky. The neutrophils come out of the vessels and will cause oxidative damage in the organs. But if there are BMSCs around, the macrophages release TNF-alpha, the MSC, which would be this big cell here, will notice both the LPS, the bacterial toxin, and the TNF-alpha, and the BMSC will start to produce prostaglandin E2, which will affect the prostaglandin receptors of the macrophage, and affecting the, stimulating the prostaglandin receptors causes an IL-10 increase and the TNF-alpha decrease in macrophages, and this IL-10 will block the leaking of the neutrophils from the vessels, which will block the oxidative damage, and this way the organs will survive. So following this study, there were of course many questions, and I just would like to tell you about a few pilot studies that we have done since then, and to show you which direction we are going. So we wanted to know, the bone marrow stromal cells are known to be a very mixed heterogeneous population of cells, which is a problem because it causes donor variations when we use stroma cells. So it would be really good to be able to tell which subpopulation of these cells can do the immune suppression. And then the next question would be if we can separate these and if we could culture these separately. So we tried a few techniques. One was to look at morphology. If there is anything that we can see in the BMSCs that would tell us which kind of cells from this population would be responsible. So the image stream is basically a combination of immunostaining and FAC sorting. And we were looking very simple things. So we were looking at size of the cells, and we were looking at the surface of the cells, if they had processes, if they didn't have processes. And then we compared a variety of donors from different people, and we looked at we developed an assay that I will talk about in a minute, but based on that assay we knew which donors might be better than other donors. So based on the image analysis, we noticed that this donor, which is called number 3, had cells of different morphology. So this donor had many more small cells and many more smooth surface small cells than these other two donors. So the assay that we developed was that we co-cultured BMSCs with macrophages. Then the co-culture is here. The two cells have to touch each other. We tried the assay using a transwell which didn't work, so there must be a cell contact. Then we stimulate with LPS, and 6 hours later we take supernatant and we see how much IL-10 is in the supernatant. The macrophages that we use, the BMSCs, don't make IL-10. So whatever IL-10 we measure comes from the macrophages. We also started to measure TNF-alpha. So we used different BMSC donors, different donor BMSCs in these assays, to try to see if this could give us a hint of how well those cells would perform. And we used two different macrophage cell lines, THP1 and U937. They are both cancer cell line, but they are, we used both to compare them, and then we stuck with one of them. So this is just to show, based on this assay, you are looking at IL-10 levels in the supernatant, and again, our patient number 3 or donor number 3 may induce much more IL-10 production in the macrophages in using both macrophage cell line than all the other donors. So we thought that maybe this assay could be used, but we wanted to make sure, so we did the mixed lymphocyte proliferation assay. That's the accepted assay to look at lymphocyte proliferation, and again we compared the same donors, and what we found was that once again our number 3 donor was the best in suppressing proliferation of T lymphocytes. Then we tried to compare, to do a gene array, and compared this number 3 donor and one of the other average donors, and we looked at upregulation and downregulation of different proteins. So there are several proteins and cytokines so far that were suggested to be involved in the macrophage reprogramming, and many of these were significantly different in our number 3 donor than in the other donors. And then we looked at the PGE2 pathway, all the members of the PGE2 pathway, just to see if any one of these are different between number 3 and number 6. And as you can see, many members of the pathway were either upregulated in one or downregulated. So it seems that the PGE2 pathway is most likely involved in human BMSCs, just as it was in the mouse septic animals that we looked at. So where do we go from here? First of all, already there are many, I found right now 357 clinical trials going on using MSCs for a variety of reasons, and about 150 of these are related to immune function. So for many autoimmune diseases, and also there are 2 or 3 big studies going on trying to treat patients with sepsis. Sepsis would be very important because basically we have nothing to offer except for supportive care for septic patients. So the next question that we tried to approach was that is there any way to safely improve, to prime the BMSCs, even the mixed population, before we would know how we can isolate the affected population in order to increase their efficiency in immunosuppression. So we thought of 2 different conditions. One is that the bone marrow stromal cells normally live in a hypoxic environment. So we wondered if putting cells and cultures in a hypoxic environment would increase their efficiency. The other possibility was to try to play with temperature, because in most inflammatory and infectious disease, the body is at a higher temperature because of fever. So we tried these 2 conditions, and with the assay that I just showed you, and as you can see in hypoxia, you get 2.5-fold increase in the induction of IL-10 from macrophages. And then similarly, with just 1 degree change in temperature, we got a 2.5-fold increase in the efficiency of the BMSCs. Now, how could we translate this into clinical practice? So the hypoxia is a different question, because culturing the cells continuously in hypoxia is not an easy task. But the temperature, I was thinking that knowing that the normal body temperature has a daily cycle, we could take advantage of this just by applying the BMSCs at the time of the day when the patient has the highest body temperature. And this already may improve the efficiency of the therapy. So that was it, and I would like to thank my past and present group, without whom I wouldn't have done any of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes, Ken.
So the cells from source of patient number 3, do they have any differences in morphology versus other?
Not in culture, we don't see it, but when we put them in the image stream, they had significantly higher number of small cells and smooth cells, which I think is probably an indication of stemness. If they are smooth and not didn't develop yet, didn't differentiate. So my feeling was that they probably had, that person probably had more of this certain population. And I was trying to go back and see, it was a healthy volunteer, because things could affect, like if the person had a flu 2 weeks before, it could have induced something in her bone marrow or something. But there was absolutely no patient history since it's a healthy volunteer. So we basically, the other thing I tried is that it would be really nice to this patient, this donor gave cells 3 years ago. If we could call her back now and get another sample to see if she is still much better performing than all the other donors, or if it was an acute something that was in her body. But she's gone, nobody knows. So there was no way of getting her back.
Okay.
So during the inflammation procedures, besides the macrophages, there are also T cells. So have you seen something about T cells and MSC during the inflammation stage?
So there is a lot of literature by now that BMSCs affect neutrophils, they affect T cells, they affect all members of the immune system. So because of the sepsis study, we were focusing on the macrophages. But yes, they do affect all the different, they affect B cells, they affect IgG production. So they have a really huge impact on the function of the immune system.
Yes.
Is there any way, so this all looks like an approach to treat systemic, the immune system. Are there any thoughts about trying to target these cells to specific organs, or is there a way to do that?
Yes, there are certain trials, and there is lots of animal work. When they apply the cells, for instance, they use the corneal and corneal ulceration because it's very easy to approach. But for the corneal study, they found that the systemic approach worked better than the local approach. We have a collaboration with a group in Building 10 who are interested in granulomatosis lung disease. We actually were trying to find somebody to continue the sepsis work with, but we couldn't find anybody. And we thought that we also did a study on asthma. So we talked to this pulmonologist, and he is taking bronchoalveolar lavage from people with sarcoidosis. And these people have lots of pro-inflammatory macrophages in their airway. So we tried, if we isolate the macrophages from the airway and put them together with BMS seeds, would they turn? And they indeed do very efficiently. So I actually have a slide about this. So their IL-10 production significantly increases and TNF-alpha production decreases. So he's trying to write a clinical protocol now to try to locally apply BMS seeds. And there is a technique that you can put cells on nanoparticles so that the patients could actually inhale the cells. And because these patients have to live on steroids, this would be a huge plus for them if they could be, even temporarily, if they could be off steroids and just do this inhalation.
Yes.
Have you ever checked about the patient who has a severe organ damage? They have a less IL-10. There is any information about between organ damage and some IL-10 levels?
You mean organ damage due to other than, what kind of organ damage are you talking about? The septic organ damage?
Yeah, the patient.
I don't know any patient data like if IL-10 would have been. They do have a lot of very high TNF-alpha levels, but also TNF-alpha has a longer half-life than IL-10. And there are 2 big clinical trials going on now, so probably we will have data in a couple of years on sepsis.
Okay. No more questions.
So thank you very much, and I think we would like to have general discussion about today's lecture. So did you have a seat there? So since this is the USJI seminar, not only the very scientific discussion, but we need some general discussion to the audiences of maybe internet or those kinds of things. So today we invited 2 lecturers working with the stem cell research. So I'd like to ask both of them the importance of the stem cell research in these days or something like that. Give us some comments about those things.
Well, I think that it's a very loaded question. And of course, there are many different kinds of stem cells. I think that it's the induced pluripotent stem cell field is huge and expanding. I don't know about how close we are to clinically really using it, but I think that we learned and we are learning a lot of biology from it that will make us much smarter in terms of how to use them. And all the other stem cells and stem cell therapies, I think in spite of all the work, are still just beginning in translation. I think that it is very important to start to learn as much as we can before we apply them to it.
So you mean that actually we need a lot of basic research so stem cells. And actually these days especially in Japan, we are looking at a lot of papers published in university like iPS cells and but we need more research related not only iPS but other tissue-specific stem cells. Do you have any comment?
From the standing point of a clinician, I would like to say that yes, we have one treatment like medicine. Medicine have a good point for the patient, but at the same time, I guess we are afraid that side effect of medicine for patient. one of possibility to apply the stem cell from self resources, which might be reduced the side effect. That's one of the reasons why we have to try the possibility of the stem cell from self as a self resources.
Thank you very much. And so we don't have so many time, so many time left, but I'd like to ask if you have any idea about we have a lot of difference in the research activities in Japan and United States, but you are from other countries. So, do you have any feeling that the difference between your country and the United States or other countries?
You mean in terms of research or stem cell research?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I'm from Hungary, and I think that there is a lot hanging on money. The techniques are absolutely amazing that are coming out. And we are almost at the verge of looking at one cell and seeing what's going on in the kitchen, what's going on in the living room of that one cell. But these are RNA-seq, we can sequence one cell, but you would of course need numbers. And for instance, in my country, nobody could afford to do an RNA-seq on 100 cells. So I think that there is a lot that's about money.
Yeah, I have a question that the IPL cell and the difference cell, there is a commitment already in cell. So that's kind of condition you can use the several many different potential. You can select a certain population for more effective therapy.
Not yet. Not yet, but we hope that we can.
So you still, because of the shed cell, you still from studies why because it's differentiate very easily to neuronal cell. That is
You don't need to any artificial gene to induce the variation, like check. Chip also ideas are very powerful, so to explore the new methods.
but you said that from patient you cannot culture the shed cell. States you can answer shed cell in patient today.
Answer is yes. We got the mission from the University Hospital. So always we can include the shed from the patient with the algorithm, with the parent.
The experimentally you can culture.
Yes. Experimentally, yes, and the actually is survive.
Shall we have any comments from the audiences? Do you have any comments or? So, thank you very much for attending this seminar this morning. Yeah, actually, we have a lot of, I put a lot of precious information, and I think this USJI seminar is very useful. Thank you very much again. Thank you very much.